DFS provider but still wish you would win more often? Do you keep messing up lineups with your own picks that your provider leaves for your discretion? Then DFS Spreadsheets is the tool for you. Whether you subscribe to a provider or not, DFS Spreadsheets will give you the tools to make better decisions. Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob Rubel, and I am the founder of DFS Spreadsheets. On the screen is a sample of a spreadsheet from today's 15-game slate on May 22nd. The first tab you'll see that I have opened is the pitcher spreadsheet. As you will see, I have listed in alphabetical order all 30 pitchers that were on the slate today. By column, you will see their name, the handedness of the pitcher, the opposing team, and their DraftKings salary. If you're not playing on DraftKings, then you can obviously ignore this column. Following that, I have their performance against the various handedness of batters. I have innings pitched, just as kind of a sample size for you to see, followed by batting average against, WOBA against, which stands for weighted on base average, ISO, which is a measure of power. It is calculated by slugging minus average, K percentage, home run per fly ball ratio, hard hit percentage, and ground ball per fly ball ratio. The first thing you will notice is that under a few of these columns, you will see color-coded dots. These are so you know how these numbers are in relation to league average. You can see what the constraints are by going to Format, Conditional Formatting, and Edit Rule. And then you will see the lower end is 0.235 and the higher end is 0.75 for batting average against. And you could do this for whichever column you would like. I do not have innings pitched color-coded because it's neither good nor bad to have a high or low number. Just tells you the sample size. And ground ball fly ball ratio, again, neither good nor bad, do have a low number or high number. I just like to include this because the lower the number, then the more likely the more fly balls that pitcher allows, and therefore if they are involved in a game with a lot of wind, then they are more likely to be affected. Again, after the right-handed and left-handed batter splits, I have opponent averages, batting average against, WOBA, ISO, K percentage, and this RS you'll see I have a note next to. This is the opponent's average runs scored in their last 5 games. I just kind of like to use this as a way to see, where the opponent is trending as far as batting. And lastly, on the end, you will see ERA and Sierra. ERA stands for earned run average, is a common statistic, as most of you I'm sure are familiar with. This last one, Sierra, stands for skill interactive ERA. And this lets you know, given the batted ball events that a pitcher has given up around in a neutral scenario, what his ERA should be. So, for instance, Andrew Suarez, his ERA is much higher than his Sierra. Therefore, he has been pitching a lot better than what his ERA leads on. Therefore, his ERA is likely to dip in the near future. So here we have a good depth of statistics to value the pitchers on the slate and how they are likely to perform. First of all, we know, especially on DraftKings, that the strikeout is very important. So I like to look at which pitchers have green dots on for right-handed and left-handed K percentage, and then I followed that up by checking against the opponent and seeing if they have a green dot. And if they do, then that pitcher is somebody that I'm certainly considering in cash games. Otherwise, if they have a red dot, I'm most likely not playing that pitcher. Yellow dot, I may consider them considering the opponent. So after pitching, we'll follow it up with batters. So on this sheet, you will see name, team, opponent, position, and salary. And this position and salary is for DraftKings. So if you play on a different site, again, this will not apply to you. But again, I say, I have these positions and salaries for DraftKings for the pitchers and the batters tab, but I think these numbers are numbers, so this is applicable. So this spreadsheet is helpful to people who play on any site. So again, we have batter performance against the various handedness of the pitchers. So for instance, AJ Ellis was going up against Jeremy Hellickson tonight. Jeremy Hellickson, a right-hander. So these numbers are AJ Ellis's performance against right-handed pitchers this season. Again, these dots are the same as on the pitchers tab. You can go and check what the criteria are by going to format and then conditional formatting again. For average, again, obviously we're looking for, in all these categories, we're looking for green dots and looking to avoid players with red dots. So after the performance against the certain handedness of the pitcher, we have, how has this player been performing lately? So these are the numbers for players in the last 7 days. So in the last calendar week. Again, average is pretty important, just showing you what kind of streak they're on. Again, obviously looking for green dots. And then lastly, this last section is BVP, which stands for batter versus pitcher. Usually people are mixed on the importance of BVP, but I like to include it for people who care about it. Obviously here, AJ Ellis we see is 1-for-1 against Jeremy Hellickson. So, how important is that? Or down here we see that Adam Jones has 47 career at-bats versus James Shields and is 14-for-47 with 7 extra base hits and a home run for a .298 average. So you may look at that and, use that as a tiebreaker for people saying, hey, based on this, do I like Adam Jones? Over the course of the year so far, he hasn't been great against right-handed pitchers. James Shields is a little bit weaker of an opponent, but Adam Jones is 8-for-24 in his last 7 games, so he's hot, and he's got a solid BVP performance, so he's somebody that maybe I should consider. Lastly, again, as with the pitchers tab, I have certain rows frozen, so if you scroll down, the rows at the top will stay at the top so you know what categories they represent. Another important tool on this sheet is obviously using the arrows to filter. You see here I have this filtered ascending, so it's in alphabetical order. A helpful one that I use is to sort by position, so you're just looking at one position. This will allow you to see the depth of that position for the day. So how you do that is I unclick all of them, and we'll start with catcher because AJ Ellis is catcher. So you scroll down, and any of the positions that have a C in it will stand for catcher. So we click on C, catcher first base, catcher second base, and that is all. So you'll see, obviously, our list is much shorter and includes only players who are catcher eligible on DraftKings. Obviously, if you're a somewhat experienced player, you'll know that catcher is one of the weaker positions. It's somewhere where people traditionally like to spend down, and I do as well, but again, there are times where obviously playing a more expensive catcher pays off, and as is with this tool, I just look at the numbers, and if there's, I don't live or die by paying down a catcher, but I look at the numbers and pick a few catchers, and wherever there's salary, I obviously take salary into consideration, but again, I try to play as many players with green dots as possible. It's not a for sure guarantee, but I think this is a good way of telling you, which players, and if you, in a long term, if you were to play this slate out 100 times, which players would succeed more often than not. So we will change this back to select all to get back to all of the players. Again, also, if you want to ascend or descend a position, it will take in all of the, change out all of the rows. So, for instance, let's ascend or descend the salary, so the most expensive players will be at the top. You will see that all the numbers will change. So again, Mookie Betts was your most expensive player today at $6,000. This year he's batting .357 against righties with a .472 WOBA and a .349 ISO, which are pretty incredible numbers. He's batting .385 in the last 7 days, and EVP history against Jake Faria is 3 for 7 with an extra base hit. No home runs for a .429 batting average. But as you may know, tonight he went deep against Jake Faria, and so he now has one career homer against him. So we will change this, and then you can clear the filter to get back to what we originally had by going to Data, and then Clear Filter. And then you can order this in alphabetical order by ascending again. And there you are, back to the original spreadsheet. Lastly is weather. I have some information on this, but I am unavailable to update this constantly throughout the day. So I recommend checking Kevin Roth has a page on Roto Grinders. If you are unfamiliar with him, he also has a great Twitter page. So if you have a Twitter profile, I certainly suggest following him. Again, he's got a lot of stuff laid out. Here is tonight's information. Again, there's nothing on here because he doesn't have any information about tomorrow's games yet, but he has an hourly forecast for the game with precipitation percentages, temperatures, humidity, wind direction. And for wind direction, he doesn't say north, use traditional cardinal directions. You will see arrows on a ballpark picture of a stadium, so you know like towards which direction of the field that the wind is blowing, which is really, really helpful because wind certainly is a factor, temperature is a factor, ball flies better in warmer temperatures, so that's something to consider. And it's obviously important to know which games are in domes, so you don't have to consider weather at all. So again, it's important to look at pitchers which pitchers you want to use. Again, this is a helpful tool not only to pick out which pitchers you want to play, but which pitchers you want to play batters against. And then batters, like I did before, sorting by position just to see position depth, and lets you create a player pool at each position for yourself. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on DFS spreadsheets, and have a great day.